before we start, hi everyone, my name is Cindy. I'll be your host for today. Welcome to Tauke Talks. So Tauke Talks is actually a series of sharing session where we actually invite local Taukes to share about their experiences in different topics surrounding entrepreneurship in Malaysia. So this whole sharing session is brought to you by RYSE. So RYSE is a Malaysian research and social outreach project that empowers youth through entrepreneurship and employability program. And RYSE is supported by Citi Foundation. So this year with Tauke Talks, we hope and aim to kind of highlight stories of Taukes addressing different issues or topics in starting and sustaining their business. And we hope that this sharing session will actually encourage fellow entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that wants to just start their business to continue to persevere in their dreams to building a business in Malaysia. Right. So today I'm happy to welcome both Maggie and Mars, the founders of MTMT Design Studio and Sangon Co. Welcome both of you. We had some time to kind of talk to each other earlier. So then we can just go in straight to this short introduction so you guys get to know more about them. So I think first off, we'll have Mars to kind of share more about Sangon Co. and her journey in starting this brand and business. Okay, go ahead, Mars.
Hello. So I'm the founder of Sangon Co. It's basically a handmade jewelry brand based in Kuching, Sarawak, Borneo. And the pieces we make we focus on like timeless pieces, but also like a little twist of some traditional niche. Yeah. And we also try our best to reach out to as many like indigenous local communities in our hometown just to give them support. So yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, maybe the next page. Yeah, explain more about your maybe your brand, your content creation journey.
Okay. So Annie is basically my business partner. Sorry, you can go back. Yeah, so that's her. So how we started was over breakfast, over laksa, and then she's currently studying in Singapore. So we're in this weird long distance relationship right now. But basically, she manages more like the administration stuff, and I handle like orders and digital marketing, like graphic design and all that jazz. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then the growth of your business, your social media page.
Yes. So this is, I think the first picture was like 9 months in, and then now we're 2 years and 3 months. Yeah. So slowly grow.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah. So who we work with and what inspires us, and also how do we reach our audiences? Next is basically we started off with just Instagram, and we're currently sort of still just on Instagram. We tried TikTok, but it just didn't really work for us. But we also have our own website, but it's not like a permanent kind of thing. So because we're a small business, we cannot outsource like so many materials. So what we do is like when most of them are sold out, we'll take it down. We'll behind the scenes we'll be making more or like coming up with a new collection, and then we'll like re-announce like okay, like our website is back up again. So that's how we kind of control our inventory, just so we don't get like so many questions and like bombarded with DMs like, hey, this is out of stock, like when is it going to restock? So we just kind of avoid that and just take off our website off our bio. So that's how we control. Yeah. And so we've also participated in KL Fashion Week, some charitable events, and also pop-up markets in KL. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so these are just some of the most recent designs that I actually have with me currently. I'm actually now in KL. I'll be joining a pop-up market this weekend. So this is what I brought over from Kuching.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mars. How about you, Maggie? Maybe it's your turn to share more about your business and who you are.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I actually handle quite a number of businesses, but I think through Tauke Talks, I have been sharing two parts of my business. which is MTMT Designs and MTMT Studios. So I am actually a sneaker painter and I'm also an art educator. What it means is that I cuci kasut, no lah, no, I'm actually painting shoes and I also teach art. So that has been going on since 2019. Yeah. But for my sneaker painting side, I have started it since I was a student back in uni. So it has been going on for quite a while. And yeah, it's quite a crazy journey to be honest. And yeah, let's go on. So basically, throughout the how many amount of years I have, I don't know, it felt like an eternity. So I have been doing a lot of projects with quite a number of brands. Some of the brands they're not even listed here, but the more prominent ones I kind of like listed out here. Um, I also paint murals, by the way, and my shoes they are mainly purchased or like mainly being admired by people from different countries. Sadly, not Malaysia. Yeah, so most of my shoes are exported, and I have been teaching close to 800 students and counting. I have been customizing quite a number of shoes as well, almost 300 plus. And yeah, I kind of like lost count in between, but I just know that they are in different countries at this point, with quite a bit of like client base at that end. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
then what was the
Your
next one
social
again?
media.
Okay. Yeah, so my social media, if you can see, I work mainly these days on Nike Air Force Ones. I think that is something that has been a demand from the international audience. Most of the time, they would let me free flow with the things they let's say they tell me like they want to do something, and then I would design the entire shoe, and that's how it gets to them. How exactly they found me, I have no idea. The only thing I know is I just post up my things and I make sure to hashtag. Maybe they found me from hashtags, maybe they found me from I don't know where. They probably saw me on Pinterest or something. So it's just it's just crazy to what extent the clientele can come into my my hand. Yeah. This is the sneaker side of things, and I've been going through exhibitions as well. So lately, there's into like upcycling furnitures and all. So this is my studio side, very popularly known for tipsy painting sessions. So what I do is I kind of infuse fun into learning art, so people can actually don't feel that stressed out when it comes to learning something new that can be pretty intimidating for most of the people. So that's how we kind of like things, get things, they can break down the barrier and then they would just be like, okay, I'm tipsy and I'm gonna paint. Yeah. Very, very different from Mars because I'm actually kind of like still a one-man show. How I wish I can get someone to help me. But yeah, it's a good idea to actually get someone to help. But at this point, yeah, everything's all by myself. I'm trying to outsource and it's not easy like what Mars is saying. Especially when it's a skilled kind of like business. Yeah. So that's me. Woo!
Great. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. I think we're going to show up your social media handles soon, just to show the audience where they can find out more about, MTN Designs and Studios and also Sangon Co. Yeah. So yeah, hold on a second. Yeah. So these are their social media handles. So if you're interested to find out more about them, please go and check them out via their, social media or even their website. If you're interested to meet Mars in person, you can go and meet her at the bazaar that's happening at Rumah Tangsi, just to go and say hi or like check out her products if you're interested. And if you want to book, like say a tipsy painting session, or let's want to do some art with Maggie, or if you want to design your Air Force One, your Air Force sneakers also, sure, go and find out more about MTMT Designs and Studios. Okay.
Yeah.
Now with like a short introduction, the audience kind of know like your background and also your experience in social media. I think my follow-up question would be, which social media do you handle now? Like what kind of platforms do you go for now?
Okay. I am very active on Instagram. Most of my Instagram posts they're linked to Facebook. And I also have a Pinterest account. I have a TikTok account, which similar to Mars, it doesn't come to bear any fruits. And
Mm.
there is also new accounts, new platforms, something like Xiaohongshu on the Chinese market. So I'm still kind of exploring. I don't know what to do with it yet, but mainly it's just this few because Instagram alone, I have like more than 7 accounts to manage, almost 10 accounts at this point. So I cannot handle too many things.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. How about you, Mars?
For me, most of my businesses, yeah, are also on Instagram. And just like Maggie, yeah, they're also like auto posted to Facebook.
Mm.
And yeah, as I mentioned, like TikTok just kind of didn't really work for us. So now we fully focus, say if it's like videos, we focus on like Instagram Reels, just because
Mm.
I feel like because Annie and I as like Gen Zs, that's where we're comfortable and familiar, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
yeah, I guess I also have like a few, and it's just yeah, I get what Maggie says also, like what she mentioned is really, really tiring. But I would say
Mm.
most of the effort and time is yeah on Instagram.
Mm.
All right, thank you. So what made both of you start a social media to promote your business? Was it like a important thing for entrepreneurs, or is it like entrepreneurs who start a kid, you have to have a social media account? What made you kind of start your own
Mm.
social media account?
Um, I
Maybe Mars can go first, yes.
Yeah.
um, I think that question is quite subjective in a way. As a small business, our like startup, like our revenue is not very big, right?
Mm.
Like Annie and I, we pocketed out 150 ringgit each, and so our business technically started off with just 300. Whereas I do know like other young entrepreneurs,
Mm.
they have like support of their parents, their families, even their friends, and they have that very strong support in terms of like money lah.
Yeah.
Like strong support in terms of that to like 开店, like open a shop or even open a stall or maybe even stock at like those like lifestyle stores that kind of stock in your brand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like not necessarily you would need a social media platform, but it does help. And for me, for Sangon, we started in the midst of the pandemic, actually a week before. That was the time when like people were still in denial, like, nah, it's not gonna reach Malaysia, it's fine. And then 1 week, 2 weeks in, like everybody was like panicking because it was locked down already. So that just sort of happened. And then we realized that, yeah, if we're unable to reach our audience physically, then social media is the way.
Right. Thanks. How about you, Maggie? I think you started before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I think my approach was very different. For me personally, when you used to have, okay, so back in those days, I think when I just started uni, which is the time where Facebook was like peaking as well. We have the wall that you can just post stuff. And then I tend to share the things that I drew on my wall. Then eventually I just felt like I just want to categorize everything into one particular portfolio so people can go there and have a look. So that's where Facebook page came into place. And Facebook can also link to Instagram, so that's kind of like how I started it. So when you have platforms like this and then you start doing hashtags, and then yeah, I just kind of like post it just for myself to view it later, or maybe like if people want to follow. I'm not like, okay, please follow me, I'm gonna give you 5% discount kind of thing. No, it's just like if you want to see some art, like some of my shoe art, you can just check it out. If you want to follow. So it's this tiny gesture that I'm not expecting anything, that kind of like surprised me in a way, because somehow or other I get DMs from people from the UK, people from the US. They're like, can you custom me a shoe, blah blah blah. And I'm like, how did you even find me? And they're like, oh, just through Facebook. And I'm like, what did I do? I didn't even run any ads. So That was
Mm.
those dinosaur days, if I'm comparing with Mars, because it's been like, I think 10 plus years ago, perhaps. Yeah, so that's when everybody is still new into technology and stuff, like
Yeah.
all these Facebook platforms and all. So it was just like, you just try it out, just put it up there, and then you just see what comes after. So some of the posts, because some of them I would also put it on Pinterest, and Pinterest can grow pretty differently in an
Mm.
algorithm matter. So a lot of people are pinning my posts. Back then I was like, you just pin it, but you didn't put details into it. So you can
Yeah.
see like, oh my gosh, everybody's like pinning your stuff, but where do they come look for me? So I just try and list down my information there, and that's how they get to me. Because sometimes you wouldn't know how far these things would get. And back then,
Mm.
Pinterest is not the kind where you can boost the post. It's just like the algorithm works in a very different manner. So yeah, I just say do it. I know a lot of people, especially artists, they're like, it's not my best work. I'm not gonna post it. But then if you're gonna wait for your best work to come, maybe I'm dead. Maybe that day is not coming. So just do what you think.
Mm.
Just do anything. And if let's say you're not doing the best, you can always be better the next time. So that's the motto I have in mind. Yeah.
That's the
Mm.
strategy you've been using for your social media, like, basically.
Yeah, I've never boosted posts, by the way. I've never. So the
Mm.
the growth you see is all organic. Maybe for Mars's side, hers is like growing more extensively than mine. Maybe mine is like nobody want to care, but Mars one is like, oh, so pretty. I want to see more. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
think
Mars.
I totally agree on the
Uh-huh.
part, like, yeah, if even if you don't think like that's your best work, you just kind of
Mm,
like have to put it out. Like,
mm,
Mm.
people are always saying, um, I mean, yeah, lah, like I join like pop-ups, and there's definitely gonna be many other small businesses, and they'll tell you like, you have to like do this and do that for like the
mm.
algorithm, and like, the algorithm, blah blah blah. But really, when you have like, more than 2, 3 Instagram accounts, like 4 or 5, that's just like where I kind of
Okay.
stop. And
Yeah.
so that's when like really like whatever you have like around you,
Mm,
just post whatever you have. But at the same
mm,
time, don't do it for the algorithm. Like, do it
mm.
Mm.
because people might just stumble upon it. Like, you'll never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. So slow
That's
growth is
like.
better than chasing all that fame and numbers, lah. Hey.
If you notice some accounts they have like what 20 over thousand followers, but then their post engagement is like what 4 likes, and then some it's like it's like for sure they bought their followers. So I'm not very sure how exactly the algorithm works. And then at one point, Instagram they're like saying they're gonna remove likes, but then okay, what's
Yeah.
happening now?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Mm.
because you guys both of you extensively mentioned Facebook and Instagram, but mostly Instagram. Why do you think Instagram worked for your business? For maybe Maggie's sake, to grow organically, and maybe Mara's sake, like how did it impact your business? Maybe Maggie, you can go first.
Yeah, for my end, I think it's just for me, I just see it as a online portfolio, because when I go for exhibitions, when I go for events, I get invited to these places. They would just say, "Oh, what's your Insta? Or what's your Facebook?" They just want to see what else you have done. It's like, as opposed to a website, the Instagram is like they can just scroll all the way. But
Mm-hmm.
for a website, they just feel very lazy to do that. I don't know why. Maybe Instagram loads faster than website, because sometimes websites they're like, it's still loading. Yeah, the internet's quite bad, oh. Yeah, so that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. So they can actually just screenshot it, or maybe like follow it, and then they can just go and check it out after. For website, they'll be like, how to type your name again,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Understand.
So I think it's a convenient name card at this point. I no longer print name cards at this point. I
Mm.
just make this as a name card. Yeah, scan, just follow. Yeah, something like that.
Right. Oh,
Mm,
that's interesting. It's your
mm.
business card now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just people just like to have an Instagram profile just because they can see the person's
Mm.
former works, or what are the potentials of things they've done before, something like that. Yeah,
Right.
so I've been approached by quite a number of people. They're like, do you have more stuff, or is it all here? So they just want to, they did research about you, and they're expecting more stuff to come out from you. So you have to
Mm.
be you have to always be consistent with posting as well. I'm like not the best consistent person because I always take photo with my phone, no, my camera. Then all the files is in the camera, right? Then I forgot to transfer to the laptop. Then from laptop I have to export to phone. Oh, then I forgot already.
When you're running 6 to 7 accounts, understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. How about you, Mars, on what do you think why Instagram plays a big part, or why Instagram works well best for you in your business?
Yeah, also same. I hate that it's seen as a portfolio. Like I really, really do despise the fact that it's seen as a portfolio. But
Yeah.
somehow it just is. In the art industry, that's just how it goes. But you know, social media platforms are supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And that's how like Friendster, MySpace, all of that back then, even the old Facebook, how they came about, and how
Yeah.
Instagram was, before like the store section of it came about. Yeah. So now it's an e-commerce platform instead of like just an art sharing platform. But other than that, being a portfolio, also, I guess, okay, we'll just be very blunt here, but I will say like nowadays people are more materialistic. And I will say people are more attentive into catching their attention. And so once they're able to see your portfolio, by squares, it's just much easier to stalk and want this. Oh, I want this, I want that. Oh, I like this and I like that. Instead of, like a website. So I will say like, it's just, people just want convenience. And when it's, how to say, like when that is just how the world works, I guess sometimes you just cannot beat them. You just have to join them.
Yeah.
I want to add on to this because I think I'm also guilty of this. Like I like to watch the lives of people, or maybe like they would share their baby's photos, baby crawling, baby's first step, or maybe like, oh, they went to a place and you want to see it, so they would take like those influencer style kind of like photos and stuff. It's like very pleasing to the eye, very aesthetically pleasing. It gives you the fact that, oh, the world is a beautiful place kind of thing, but you're just actively consumed by all this. You're just not thinking about what's behind the scenes kind of stuff. So I'm guilty of this. Like I spend a lot of time on social media, TikTok especially, and also like Xiaohongshu these days. So it's quite crazy, like the amount of content people can create. I'm just like, dude, where do you guys find this time for all these things? It's just videos, contents, nonstop, every day different things. I'm like, okay, I need
That's
to.
why it's tiring to have like several business accounts. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like as much as we hate it, if you are planning on starting like an Instagram business, right? Somehow, if you want it to grow, I'm not saying that this is a compulsory thing to do, like to be active on Instagram like over and over to see like what content that you can come up with. But it's definitely something like, it's like a reference book. Yeah, you kind of just have to look at what other people do, and so it kind of sparks that motivation for you to also do it and grow your business. But it's also something that does not work for everyone. So as I mentioned earlier, it really depends on what business, what kind of approach, and like your personal own like lifestyle.
Yeah. Understand. Right. Thank
There are
you.
also a lot of like challenges on the reels where you can just do duets or like doing like challenge side to side. Yeah, a lot of people are latching on that kind of trend or just reposting something like that. So that keeps the momentum going, like a train continuously going, and people are using that as a business strategy as well. So like I said, it doesn't work for me, but most people, they might be able to see it, like probably apparels and stuff or dancing stuff, that kind of thing. They can get into that kind of like bandwagon in that sense. Yeah.
Right. Since we're on the topic of trends and like chasing all the latest content on social media, do you think that some content on Instagram, let's say, are just not meant for small businesses, or you shouldn't follow all the trends?
Yeah, you don't even have to finish the question. Like, yeah, like 100%.
There's this video there's this video that's like, my name is Chicky, Chicky, Chicky. That one, I was like, how is that going to be relevant for
Her
my
name
business? I
is
don't understand.
Chash.
My name is Chacha.
Yeah,
Plop,
like
plop, 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 plop.
there's so many things, so many sounds, so many trends. Like you
Yeah,
really don't have to
cannot
follow
finish.
every single one. It just
Cannot finish.
goes back to like your own lifestyle. Seriously, when you start a business, it's because you like it and you want to, and that is up to your own individuality. If you start coming up like following trends, right? Yeah, lah, you'll just eventually lose yourself because you'll get really tired.
Uh,
But
So
yeah,
what are some checkpoints that you both of you have? So let's say when you see content, you're like, oh my god, so cute, I want to do it, but you have to be like, okay, is it my brand? Is it something I'm comfortable with? What are the checklists that you guys have, if you have any, for social media?
for me, it's if it's available, like the resources available to me. Yeah.
that is quite important, I'd say. I really agree with that. And another thing is, well, put brand aside, like, are you even comfortable doing that stupid
Yeah.
dance move, you know? So you don't want to embarrass yourself at the end of the day doing like this kind of stuff. I mean, maybe the embarrassment would bring you sales. I don't know. If it works, then good for you. But for me, I'm like, no, no.
Too cringy for you.
It's too cringy. I look at myself, I'm like, no, 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 no. I better put it down before people die. Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
nice. I think it's good to hear, like, 'cause I feel like a lot of people feel the pressure to keep up. In a way, you guys suddenly become your own small influencers, right, for your business, in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah. It
Nice.
really is like I traveled to KL with my boyfriend, right? And he was starting to get annoyed by the time like I reached the airport because I was like filming shit. Sorry. I was filming stuff like one by one just so I could fit everything in a reel, you know, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. And I was like, can you just get on the plane? I'm like, I need to take so like got real, you know, like of like BTS. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, do your influencer thing. I'm like, I'm not, I'm just a business owner trying to grow. Well, yeah, you just kind of have to you have to hype yourself up, you know. You got boyfriend, girlfriend, also no point, one.
Hype yourself, be your own hype woman or man.
Yeah, so I did thought about, let's say if I am a YouTuber, let's say if I'm an influencer, will I be enjoying this kind of lifestyle? Because I personally, I don't think I will. I would lose out a lot of like, time to have the real fun. We're just consuming a lot of things and we thought that we can do it when it comes to the time we're really doing it, we're just like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna put it aside. I'm gonna live in the moment. So that is the part where I felt like it's not really me because I don't want to just do it because I want to get the likes or get the acknowledgement from the online audience that I'm able to do it. I think I went past that stage. I'll just be like, okay, you know what? I just want to be Maggie. That's it.
Right. Just stay
Yeah.
true to yourself and hopefully everything works out.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that you guys are like 100% familiar with social media platform, or would you say that you guys are still growing, still finding
Still
out
growing.
things that you can do?
For sure, still growing. Yeah.
Social media platforms, there's so many, too many. And so you will never fully understand it. What more to say, learn it. There is no textbook. So you
Actually,
just have to
yeah.
go with the flow.
Even if you ask influencers, maybe they don't even have this question answered, by the way. So I don't know. Unless you work for Instagram or Facebook, maybe you would find the answers.
Yeah.
We should try working for them, I guess. We go and apply.
Hi,
Back to employment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Facebook now just changed the metaverse.
Yes.
Like
They
it's
just
never
changed.
ending because even these big companies are trying to find a place for themselves. So one want to say like small local businesses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So how
then
do both of you
for
keep updated? Sorry, Maggie.
no, I just wanted to point out, like, it's not just Facebook and Instagram now, because for art world, NFT is also coming into place. Sorry,
Right.
NFT has come into place. right? You need to be familiar with all of the other platforms for NFTs to be there. So it's just a bit crazy. I personally, I haven't dabbled into it. It's just too much for me at this point. So I think maybe when I have more free time, then I'll look into that. So you see, platforms, they are just never ending, and people are still developing new platforms. So I don't know, maybe there's a new Instagram coming out, so we can't finish this. Yeah. So back to you,
Mm-hmm.
Cindy. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. So how do both of you kind of keep up to date or keep learning in the sense to catch up with this like super fast-paced environment?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't keep up to date.
Mm,
Your phone is basically there to pass time. You subconsciously, pull up the Instagram app on and you just watch. Like TikTok is the same. Whatever you consume, whatever you like, then okay, sure, go ahead and do it. But just make sure that what you're doing is rational. It's beneficial and it gives you an advantage, basically. Yeah.
mm, mm,
Um, for my side, I am always like constantly learning. Even back then, I think what happened was I actually bought courses for like social media, kind of like social media strategy, social media growth and stuff, because I also need to
mm.
train a bunch of people under me, right?
Yeah.
So I realized that, those courses then, it was in 2019 only. I bought it in 2020, and it's irrelevant in 2022 right now. You know how
Mm,
fast things are changing? Like there were some relevancies, but not 100% you can apply it right away. So I
yeah.
was like, you just bought it, like, and you don't even have time to finish it on the spot, but then things are changing already. So
Yeah.
those online courses happening at Udemy, and stuff like that, Skillshare, etc, they're just like, okay, you have courses 1 year ago, and then right now, after a few months, they might be different in terms of algorithm
Mm,
already. So their strategy no longer fit into the months
yeah.
later. That's why if you're asking how, and I'm like, okay, you can't be learning, you can't be being an expert even then. So
Mm,
it's just continuous like growing, continuous learning. For me, it's like opening your minds. Don't shut yourselves to what we think is right. I think it's very
mm,
important to unlearn, to relearn.
mm.
So having that mentality is actually quite important if you are planning to be a business owner yourself, because when you shut your mind, you're literally shutting your business as well in this case. Yeah.
I
Mm.
kind
Oh,
of
that's
also
interesting.
want to add a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, sure.
So I graduated in graphic design, and
Mm-hmm.
so in our course we also have marketing, like digital marketing, basic lah. So if you're talking about, you're back to your question earlier, Cindy, about
Yeah.
learning about social media like Instagram, for example. If you really think about it, your question is um, like how do you learn human beings? Because human beings
Yeah.
came up with social media. All the trends are made up by human beings, and so
Yeah.
it's very easy to think about like human beings are always evolving. But then when it
Mm,
comes to social media, people tend to see it as um, like a different subject, which I understand has like its own terms, like its own rules. Like, okay, in graphic design, there's like a rule that you're not allowed to use more than
yeah.
3 colors. But then they'll ask you to think outside the box. So is these kind of things where yes, you can take courses to like learn the basics, but really you can never fully understand human beings.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, so philosophical of you to kind of use that analogy. Not
Oh yeah,
everybody be like doubting
I
themselves at
love
home.
philosophy. Read philosophy books, man. Collect as many as you can.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think something Mars mentioned earlier was quite interesting, that she's constantly looking on Instagram as her free time. So do you guys, when you guys go on social media, your entrepreneurial hat is always on? Like as an entrepreneur, you're always like, when you look through your company, you're like, oh yeah, this I can use for the business. Oh, this one too. It's never off, is it?
No
Mm,
lah, not really
yes
lah.
and no.
Yeah.
Mm, okay.
Maggie?
I Majority of the time I kind of like enjoy consuming my Baby Yoda content, so Baby Yoda memes. And I just want to be like, liking things I like Hello
Mm,
Kitty and
mm,
all.
mm.
Like it's very nice to watch, but then Because I have different accounts, like my own personal account, my own sneaker account, my own studios account. Each
Yeah.
account follows different categories. So if I want to be on my work mode, I switch to the work account and I go onto that.
Mm,
If I go on to the other one, then I would see like what other studios are doing, and then I could probably like, kind of like learn from it or maybe come up with my own ideas. When I'm on my personal account, I just want to be personal. I want to go watch my ballet videos, my stupid videos and stuff like that, all the comedy stuff. I really enjoy that moment. So sometimes you dive too deep into it, you cannot get out. And when you go into work, you just go into work. Yeah, so
yeah.
I came with an
Okay.
objective.
Oh, you have
Categorized already.
that's how you kind of build the boundaries for your social
Yeah,
media.
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah,
How about you, Mars?
Um, kind of the same, but
yeah.
there's always a saying, small local businesses work 24/7
Yeah.
because you have to deal with the customer service, you have to be your own photographer, accountant,
Mhm.
and everything else in between. So yeah, just like Maggie, personal account. So when I want to have my alone time, yes, mine.
Mm,
But whenever you do scroll and a
mm.
sound or like a specific content come up and you're like, oh, I can do that too. Not necessarily like, oh, I think Sangon should do this. It's more of like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I can do that. And then
Mhm.
I'll kind of like DM myself, like forward it to
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
And then my business
Okay.
partner all the way in Singapore, like, hey, why you send me this? I'm like, oh, inspo.
Mm,
Yeah. So it's not like a checkbox, like, okay, last night I sent myself this, now I have to do this. It's just more like,
Yeah.
yeah, like if I feel like
okay.
doing it, sure. If not, then like,
Mm,
I
okay.
have like albums where I save. Let's say I like this particular content, I would categorize. Let's say I saw someone paint a painting, and I think maybe I can execute by teaching this particular style or technique to the class. I
Mm,
categorize them into to teach. And then some is like scenery, some is like sculpture, some is like clay work and all. I'll just do it in categories. So
mm,
when I feel like getting some inspiration, I'll go back into these albums and then I'll be like, okay, maybe I can execute this one day, and if I have the time, okay, let's do it. Yeah. So it's like at my own pace kind of thing. Like I would never pressure myself, oh, you have to do it right now. You have to. If not, you're gonna be like facing sentence and stuff. No, no, no,
mm, mm.
no. Mm,
Okay. It's good to hear kind of how you guys kind of balance it out. I
mm,
think a lot of small business, let's say if young people want to start their own business, they'll have a hard time trying to be like, oh, how do I balance my own personal time and
yeah.
also my own work
mm,
time?
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think,
it,
yeah, sorry, Mars.
no, it's okay. I think it's kind of hard to balance, but at the same time, if it's so easy to work at a 9 to 5 job and tell yourself, oh, after 5, I should be able to have fun. Like
mm,
it should have nothing to do with like my boss or like my employees or colleagues or whatever. So I think if
mm,
you want to have that fun in your 9 to 5 job, if you're your own boss and you have your own business, you should also give your time that fun period of the
Mm,
day. Yeah.
understood. Great. Thank you so much for that.
mm.
I think we can move back to inspo because someone mentioned about inspo just now. So where do you both of you go to kind of get inspiration to create content specifically for your business? Like what gives you like the motivation to be like, oh, I'm gonna create this poster, oh, I'm gonna create this reel, I'm gonna create this content from your social media.
小红书, Pinterest, and other small businesses content. It's very important to build a community. And so
Mm,
for me, I tend to focus more on what the other small businesses around me in Malaysia are doing. Yeah. Whereas Maggie, I think hers is more diverse. Yeah. So for me, it's like if I already know my crowd base, because I already have like a targeted audience and like my
Yeah.
crowd base, right? And so I wouldn't want to, yes, it's good to experiment, but I'm at the point where like, okay, I'm done experimenting. I think I can put my focus on this because I'm also like doing um, physical work all alone, orders,
Yeah.
all this, like shipping. So I cannot be putting my focus into so many different things.
Yeah.
So I cannot be, like focusing on what other international brands are doing because as you know, like US, UK, like they are more in.
Yeah.
Malaysia is a late bloomer country in a way.
Yeah.
right? So I kind of just want to like stick with that for now, but who knows, maybe in 5 years or whatever, then yeah lah, just grow lor.
I'm sure it will happen, like, you know, when you want something, you ask for it, then it will come. For my case, I think it's a very diverse, like what Mars is saying. So for my sneaker side, most of my inspirations are international artists. Um, my tendency is to look at what people are doing, and then I would come up with something that I can do by myself. And for my studio side, then it would be a bit more localized. So I have to look into what other people are doing, and I tend to not copy what they're doing. So I felt like that gives the USP for my business, because most of the studio businesses here, when A do this, B copies A. Then it will be a train effect, like a chain effect. Everybody just copies, copies, copies. And it's like, dude, this one watercolor, that one watercolor, floral watercolor. Then art jam, oh, it's going to be the Van Gogh painting again. And I'm like, no, you want to come here, you don't paint this. You want to paint this, you go there. So I felt like I need to be a place where I cannot be the same as other places. So it gives the diversification and what makes me so special, because I think I'm the only studio that provides a shoe painting workshop. No one else is copying, because one thing, stock taking for shoes, you see lah how much stock I have in the studio. Nobody dares to do it. It wouldn't go as fast as a canvas would do. So yeah, it's like
Oh my god, and then you need to stock check like the sizes.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's like a very tedious work, and a lot of studios, they're like, they just want it fast, easy, commercialized. So the art that they produce is no longer art, it's just commercialized experience in that sense. Like, people are not going there to learn art per se, but just be like, okay, here's my one, I just want to gram it, take this at this angle, okay. Yeah, so it became like a feed for their own, how do I call it?
Personal gain.
Yes, something like that. And then they just no longer find the importance, or like
Yep.
the the purpose of doing that. Just because, oh, my friend asked me to go, so I go. Then I take picture. Then I'm like, yay, done. Bucket list tick. Yeah. So it wouldn't give them like the want to come back and do it again and again and again. So very different. Yeah, and that's how I approach things.
So
Yeah.
you post mostly about, I mean, for your shoe, I realize that you post a lot of things that you're doing. And then for your studio part, you're posting like all the art session and like whatever, even funny pictures also you post. Like, I remember one of them is you laying on the floor after an art jam.
I like to keep it more real, and not just like I just want influencers to come and then show their prettiest look, that kind of thing. I prefer the rawness of human nature. I don't need them to fake it. Like, you just want to be crazy, just be crazy. You want to lie down and paint, but by all means do that. Like, so sit down, roll on the floor, whatsoever. That's why it comes to a part where it's a safe space for you to create things, and don't feel embarrassed about whatever you're doing. So that's the intention of my original intention of why I created my studio as well. Yeah.
Okay. Then would you guys say that you are like really happy with every single content you put on social media, or there are times where you feel like this is not the best, but I have to post it?
Yeah. I mean, how to say? I started my business with people will say like not a very good phone, But what's the definition of that? Like, what's the definition of not a very good phone, and why does it matter, right? But yeah, as I realized, once I started to get really serious, like now it's becoming my full-time job in a way. I realized that sometimes you do gotta put in some investments. And so I got myself like a new phone. And so I will say, of course, like back then there was some like materials that I put out that were not up to the graphic design standard that like my lecturer wished that I would have put out. But you know, what's done, it's done. It's gotten where I've gotten this far. And yeah, like what Maggie said, being real is very important. And so who's to say if you don't have a good phone, you shouldn't start a business? By all means, go ahead, because some people may like it, some people may not, but you can't please everyone. So might as well just please yourself.
Yeah. Content-wise, well, if you're asking me if I'm proud about the content I posted about 10 years ago, it's like a mixed feeling because those contents also brought me customers. So what are you gonna say? Like it may not be the best aesthetically pleasing thing, but people saw it and people reach out to me. So well, it did the job that it's supposed to be doing.
It's like, well, I'm here now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I won't go back and regret about something I've done. I would say I would go back and think about how I can be better. So that would be a better mentality as opposed to maybe I should delete this, something like that. I would just leave it there because it's also part and parcel of my growth and part and parcel of my experience as I grow with this business. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Oh, but also a tip
Mm.
for Instagram. If you ever do come to a day where you're embarrassed of like a specific content, don't delete it. Archive.
Archive, yes. To archive it.
Algorithm. Later your algorithm like don't count anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
The
a
only
cool
thing
tip for everyone.
the only thing you should delete would be probably your ex-boyfriend or like your exes lah. If you want to, or maybe archive it. If you want to archive lah. But if you don't want, then just delete lah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think one of the RYSE team will be putting up links in the chat box of Maggie's and Mars like most proudest content that they've ever put out. So you can go and check out that content in the chat box. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next question, which is what kind of content works well for your business? Because now we're looking at 2 points of business, right? For Maggie, you're more of service, and for Mars, you're more of product. So what kind of content have you seen over the years that really work well for you?
For wait, what type of content, like reels, pictures, or like
It can
IG?
be that, or it could be like, oh, I think educational content is better, product promotion content is better, like 15% off works amazing for me, like things like that type of content.
For us, because we're sort of committed into like supporting our own local indigenous community, hence our Bornean theme, like Sarawakian themed storyline. So what catches people's attention would be like Sarawakian stories. It could be about like a landmark or what inspired us to start it in like our hometown, or the name of like this specific piece, because we do name like some pieces after mythologies or like, you know, all these native stuff. So people are interested to learn. So I think that's what catches their attention. But also like funny, funky stuff that we put out are just hashtag facts, you know. Like the realness.
Yeah.
All right.
From my end, it's like what I said, the very authentic side of us. Because I'm quite cheeky when it comes to posting captions or posting like posts with text. So I try to play around with words. I would do puns and stuff like that. And I think it creates a lot of engagement in that sense. That would be something I'd say the Malaysian audience would like. For my sneaker side, because my audience is like super diverse, like it's on different parts of the world. So I'm just using English, but I don't really have a lot of engagement there. It's just people would just silently DM me. They won't comment on the post kind of stuff. Yeah. So very different, honestly. I'm also trying to study them, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so people can learn a few about like what works for what you guys might work for them also. Yeah, I think we can just continue on with my final question. Then we can go answer the audience question. I think some of them are waiting for you guys to answer their question.
Okay.
So what do you think you would say to someone who is a beginner? Like what are the must-dos that they should have when creating content for a small business?
do the first step. Really, literally
Okay.
just do it.
Mm. Start
Sorry.
posting. Start
No
posting
tip, no
today.
tip. Just do, post only. No need to think too
Um,
much lah.
oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, wait,
Because yeah,
Right.
because I felt like the more we try and give them like step one, two, three,
Mm-mm.
four, then they would just overthink it and be like, oh, I heard them they said must do this first. I heard them they say must do that first. Then eventually it's like, ah yeah, I'm not perfect lah. Then I don't do lah. So
Mm.
it's just coming back to the point whether you are courageous enough or not. So just do it only. For me, very simple, just do it. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. So like
Mm.
do it and then see what works for you, like personally as
Yes,
a small
yes.
business owner.
Because you still have to do your own trial and error. Like everybody's journey is very different. Like for
Mm.
me and Mars's journey is super different. So it's like what works for me might not work for her. What works for her might not work for me. That's why I said
Yeah.
just do it. Then you would
Mm.
know. Mm,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. My
mm.
grandma came in wondering what I was doing, why I hee hee ha ha. So
No worries. No
It's
worries.
okay.
now I
You
flew all
should
the way here, still on my
mm.
laptop. So she's a bit like, what are you doing?
You should put her in the screen, then you talk to her like, hello everybody.
Should be the featured
So yeah,
guest
that's
for this
also
Tauke
one of
Talks.
the perks of working. So for me, sorry, what was the question again?
The question is like, what would you say to a young entrepreneur or a beginner at social media? Like, what are the must-dos for creating content?
On the mental side, yeah, man, just post it. Just go ahead, like what Maggie has mentioned. But on a very branding and professional end, I will say make sure you're sort of fixed and committed to a logo first for the at least for the
Mm-mm.
first months, because that's
Yeah.
gonna be your presence.
Mm.
Then once
Yeah.
you've built like a community of your own, like your crowd base, then it's always okay to sort of change it up a little bit later, because then they'll trust you. But yeah, you sort of do need to have like a name and what you stand for as yourself in the brand.
Mm.
Yeah, not the brand,
Mm.
yourself in the brand.
Mm.
Mm. Right, because
That
you're
one
the one
that
creating content.
that one can be like social media strategy talk already, you know? Like I don't think we want to go that far lah. It's just but it's also a good tip, you know what I'm saying? Because most of the social media strategy talks, or maybe like programs and stuff, they would just get you into going to this
Yeah,
and all,
yeah.
which
It's very
can be very overwhelming as well. So
Mm.
yeah, just like honestly, I really have nothing else to say, but just do it.
Mm. Okay, no
Yeah.
worries, no worries.
Mm,
Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for answering the questions that I have.
mm,
Now we'll move on to the Q&A just to answer some of the audience's question. I think they have a few. I think the one recent one, sorry, let me just pull it up for a moment.
by Lee King San, is it?
Yes.
Mm,
This is not really related to content creation, but I think we can
mm,
answer it first. Like, how do you price art products in particular?
mm. Should
Maybe
I
this is
go
directed
first?
to Maggie.
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
always sorry, but yeah, there's always a mental part as like yourself, and then
Mm,
for me there's always another like branding professional side of it. So but I'll just give both my opinions. How do
mm,
I price my art is like based on how much I like it and how much effort I put in it. If you're talking about branding and like professionalism, what people tend to get wrong is that your cost price is not just the money cost part of it. It's really
mm,
like your car fuel, like how far, yes, that's cost, but it's also your energy. And then like how many days, hours did you put into like finding the material? So all these are like very subjective. But yeah, it goes back to like your branding and
Mm.
what kind of route you want to take in a way. Yeah.
From my end, I would speak from the artist's point of view. Okay, so because I actually exhibit my works at art exhibitions as well. There will be a few ways to look into it, but I would tell you how I do it, or how typically an artist who starts from zero to hero kind of like level. So most of the time, it's actually I agree with Marsha's way of putting it into a picture where you first have to identify how much time spent, how much cost
Yeah.
you have been putting into it. All these are very, very important. The other thing you have to also look into is that are people doing similar stuffs with you? Like let's say maybe another artist is doing similar, but their price very, very, very low. They are either spoiling the market or you are either pricing too high. So you have to look into these two things. These are like your own research that you have to do. And another thing is, okay, if let's say you are exhibiting at an exhibition, you have to first figure out like you need to be open to the market. So sometimes it also means that you have to price slightly lower than the market price. And when you have a sale completed, the next time you come back, you can price higher. So a lot of the artists are going through this route, and that's how collectors are closely following artists as well. So they would start off by buying their cheapest at their very, very amateur stage. And then a few years later, they go, and then their value is like, dude, you're like 5 digits now. I just remember buying it from you for 4 digits. Like, what's going on? So because your popularity, your name is different, you're at a different level already, so you can actually just name the price you want. So it needs time and effort to get there. Unless you are just extremely popular at this point, you can just name whatever you want. You can't be like Banksy suddenly, like, okay, I just drew that and it's freaking a few $100,000. So it really depends on a multiple factors actually. So we always have to start somewhere. Figure out the easiest way is to figure out what other people that are similar to you doing. Unless you are someone that you're doing something so niche that nobody's doing, then you name your price because nobody can compete with you. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, that's a great insight to the art industry and how you actually like price your pricing. I think that's also good for, like, say, art entrepreneurs to know when they start off a business. Yeah, moving on to the next question that the audience have sent in. This is quite interesting. How to make a quote unquote boring small business stand out? Let's say if they're a book publishing business. How do you make a boring business stand out? I don't think any business is boring. I just
So philosophy part of me is like, what's the definition of boring? You know,
How
like
did Harry Potter survive? You see?
exactly, like but okay, since it's a question, I guess don't change, like what's your definition of fun? So fun for some people could be reading, like for you a book publishing, or like for design maybe like you publish like book covers or something like that. But some people see fun as like those quirky dance or like cheeky cheeky whatever sound,
My
like
name is
real
Chicky.
sound.
Chicky.
But yeah, so I would say my advice is, just be you. If that is your brand, like something that you want to do, your own interest, then I'm sure you'll find like a content that fits you. And the right people will be interested. If not, then screw them lah.
I kind of understand why this particular person posted this question because when we are in our own business, we would sometimes feel like it's just something I'm posting every day. It's nothing so special about it. So I get that mentality because sometimes I also feel like I'm just gonna post about this thing again. I've been posting so many thousand times. Why am I doing it again? Kind of thing. So I get how it feels, and for me, I like to look into boring stuff in a fun way, like how Mars is mentioning. What what makes you define fun? So does that mean by if let's say people come to you, I don't know if you mean by publishing a book, you publish them or you are helping people
Yeah, exactly.
create stories to publish because that's like it's a very, very open question. So I would assume that you are a book publisher and you are trying to make it more interesting in that way. Like, how do you make content more interesting? So if you can look into you can look into the behind the scenes. So sometimes people are just very fascinated. Okay, let's say how what are the steps to make sure you can publish a book? You can post contents like this. Number one, you have to get your grammar checked. Number two, you have to do this, and all. So sometimes for people like me, I have no idea how to publish a book. I would want to do research. So I would come to a point where, okay, I want to study. Let's say if I want to publish a book, what do I have what it takes to do that? Because number one, do I have the timeline allowed? Like I think publishing a book would take super long. Some of the people they take 1 to 2 years to publish just one book. So if it's an illustration book, if it's a written book, if it's like an audio book, or if it's like whatever book, you want to list it down and then tell people, educate people coming from an angle where you are the expert. Because if you don't do that, then we wouldn't know, because we're the amateurs. We're like, okay, teacher, what to do, kind of stuff. So I would think content like this would appeal. And maybe it's not content that would convert into sales, but it's also something that people might have the tendency to reshare. So I would think of it from that particular angle, if it answers that person's question. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Thank you so much. I think that
just
was
want to
interesting.
add.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So Sangon is actually in the works of writing a book, and so our
Ooh.
goal is to release it by next year. We have no idea when yet. It really depends on the progress, because like going along houses and everything, it also depends on the SOP. Yeah. So yeah, like for me, what makes it fun, if you're talking about content, is if I'm visiting these places, then I'll be my little own crew who takes videos and act like I'm some influencer, like big shopping. Yeah. So that is what makes it fun, because people don't know me there. But of course, I'll be respectful, But that's what makes it fun, because you get to learn, at least for me. So it really depends on like your approach on book publishing, because it's not as specified. It's very wide, like what Maggie said. So I'm not sure what that person is trying to ask fully. But if you're talking about fun, really don't worry about it that much. But of course, we get insecure about our own stuff that we put out. But just continue being you. See your marketplace and what they do, and then maybe try and get some inspiration, but also like follow your heart.
What's your book going to be about? I mean, I'm actually quite interested to know.
The indigenous native Sarawakian gang.
Yeah. Awesome.
But it's mostly all about like legends.
Okay.
Awesome.
I guess we have more things to look forward to after this whole Tauke Talks session. Right, a book is coming out. Yeah, I think we can chiming on this question. I think the next question kind of tied in quite well. So someone also asked, like, how do I create posts that converts prospects into sales?
Okay. This is a very, very like shortcut way of trying to get an answer lah, okay? There's no confirm 100% will work kind of strategy that would give you sales, because I think almost every brand out there, like even let's say even luxury brands or even car brands, they also post them. Do they expect sales to come in 100% for every eyeballs that come in? No, because for the amount of people that sees your post, you only have a small percentage of people that you can convince. It may not work to a majority of the people, but it may work to some people. So we couldn't stress ourselves into this kind of position where, oh, every post I put must convert to sales one. It won't happen, honestly. It would apply to a few percentage of the people, but it would, you have to do trial and error. Yeah. So this one, I don't think you can get a shortcut answer from me. It's basically trial and error from my end.
Right.
Same for me as well. Like my scrunch face is because like I'm just trying to figure out like how to go about the situation, because yes, there is a very 101 workshop class kind of answer. There's also the very like, but it also really depends. So I think for now, my answer would be going back into what we mentioned, like what we like three of us actually mentioned about like Instagram, for example, being a portfolio, right? So I think prospects will eventually look at your story, what your brand is about, not necessarily the things that you post individually. So then it goes back into you yourself and your own individuality, because not everybody will like you. And so these prospects who like you will eventually maybe would want to work with you or collaborate with you, whatever it is. But yeah, not everybody, like for example, today, like I think there's a few of you here are like 15. Not everybody will come to Sangon and not everybody will go to Maggie. So it really depends on like the crowd base and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's actually been very insightful. I think the rest of the questions that they've sent in, you guys already basically answered them in your sharing session. So no need to, let's not uncover it again. But yeah, I think thank you so much for answering that question. I think they must be nodding their head in the audience right now, but you can't see them. But yeah, everyone, that was both Mars from Sangon Co and also Maggie from MTMT Design and Studio. They're here today to kind of share their experience at Tauke Talks, brought to you by RYSE and supported by Citi Foundation. So I hope all of you feel really inspired and motivated today to kind of take control of your own social media and the content that you're putting up. If you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, maybe you've learned something new to kind of add on to your social media accounts and how you actually run it. I think one key takeaway from me is that they keep mentioning like please stay true to yourself and don't sacrifice your identity to make sure that you keep up the trends. I mean, they also highlight the importance of course, knowing what to look forward to in social media, but most importantly, do what you feel comfortable in doing and just try it out. Trial and error is very important for social media and content creation. Yeah, but thank you so much, Mars and Maggie, for taking the time to come in here and share about the insights. So
Thank
if you guys
for
are
having
interested,
me.
oh, no worries. So if you guys are interested to kind of find out more about, Sangon Co and also Maggie, please do check out the social media. Or if let's say if you want to, you guys are interested. Oh yeah. If you guys are interested in an upcoming Tauke Talks session, so Tauke Talks is also happening on the 9th of May, so next month. But this whole entire session will focus solely on customer engagement and how a local small business actually keep their relationship between customers from social media, or let's say face-to-face customer, how they build relationship with their customers. So if you're interested to find out more about it, please do register via the bit.ly at bit.ly/TT customer engagement. Yeah. So currently our upcoming program, ongoing program actually is called RYSE Online 2022. So if you guys are interested to start your own business or just learn a little bit more about entrepreneurship, this is an online course on the basic of entrepreneurship. So it's totally free of charge. So you can just register and go through the course at your own time to kind of learn more about entrepreneurship. Who knows, one day you'll be an entrepreneur, or who knows, you're just an entrepreneur needing some guidance. Yeah, so if you're interested, please do register via the bit.ly at bit.ly/RYSE Online 2022. If you're interested to, keep up to date with what Tauke Talks is doing, or maybe you want to learn more about what RYSE is doing, you can go and check out our Tauke Talks social media. It's also linked to RYSE's social media, so don't worry about that. If let's say you want some inspiration, or you just want to watch this whole session one more time once again, please go and check out our RYSE program YouTube, where this will be posted next week. Right, thank you so much everybody for being here today to hear more from Mars and Maggie, and thank you so much to these two ladies for taking the invitation and actually taking the time to come and talk about their experiences. Thank you so much, Maggie and Mars.
Always a pleasure. But yeah, man, Tauke Talks, RYSE.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you at the next Tauke Talk session. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Audio Jungle.